Hello everyone, this is Atman Nityananda and his YouTube channel Yoga Tennis Psychology. Tennis Psychology for professional tennis players. I want to speak today about habits, creating positive beneficial habits, mental, emotional habits that help us to maintain calmness, concentration, confidence, and play the point with the best possible preparation. So it is very important to know that mind functions through habits. Habits are a great part of our emotional, mental expressions and functions are habitual. And our mind has the capacity, after repeating something, to integrate it in the subconscious mind, and then the subconscious mind takes responsibility to perform this capacity, skill, whatever may be. For example, we can create a habit every time a thought or an emotion arises in our mind to ask, to question this expression, mental or emotional expression, and ask to whom this thoughts or emotion arises. And with this question, which is an inquiry question, we can create a shock of consciousness that help us to become more attentive and self-aware. So we also enable us, this questioning, to avoid identification with this emotional or mental expression, which is the most important step of intelligence, action of intelligence. Not to identify ourselves with the mental, emotional creations. This is the most important thing, because the moment we identify ourselves with them, we are a prey to them, and we operate or we act under their dominion. And in reality, we do what this habit, mental or emotional habit, dictates. So in order to avoid this, to function under the dominion of a mental or emotional pattern, the most important thing is to avoid identification with them. And one of the most important means is to question this mental or emotional expression. To whom these thoughts or to whom this emotion arises? And we become attentive. We ask without having the purpose to give an answer, a mental answer. We just ask and remain attentive in order to be aware of this whom that is aware of this thought or emotion. We become attentive, and at the same time we avoid identification. The most important thing in this process is to notice this expression, this manifestation, as soon as it happens. The moment that the thought, if we are capable to become aware of the thought or the emotion that arises in us, the very moment that they arise in us, it becomes the easier it becomes to deal with them and first of all, avoid identification with them. Of course, it's not so easy. It's easy to say. It's not so easy always to do this, depending on the situation and our expectations, desire, attachment, purity of mind, etc. Our capacities, how much we have developed higher capacities of mind. Another way is to get in touch with the breathing process. In order to avoid identification with the mind, the thoughts, thinking process, and the emotions, we can focus on the breathing process. Take some deep breaths and then remain conscious, aware of the breathing process. Another way is to become aware of the physical body. These are three main ways to avoid identification with the thought, streaming, and emotions. And if we succeed in this, which implies that it is necessary, it's a must, to connect consciously with the silent space of consciousness within us, which is not difficult at all. It's very easy to realize or to become aware of a silent space or a silent presence in us that is always the same, changeless, and it is the background of all our experiences, and which is unaffected and unattached by all emotional, mental experiences, expression and experience, and of course all external situations and happenings. And the more we connect deeply, the deeper is the connection with this silent space within, the easier it becomes to avoid identification with the mental, emotional structures, expressions. And the easier it becomes to deal with them successfully. That is to make them subside. How much easy is to do this? Depends on our capacities and on training. It's like technical, tactical, physical training. The more systematically we train ourselves, and the more hours, of course, until we cannot train our body for all day, throughout the day. We will be tired very easily. But I mean, we have to practice at least from 4 to 7 hours. And that does not mean that all these 4 or 7 hours will be a very difficult training that we need to spend a lot of energy. It can be relaxation, stretching, or can be watching videos and reflecting on tactics. But physically, we cannot. The players have not the capacity to play all the day tennis in the court. So physically, there are limitations. And according to the age, the capacity, the tournaments, many things, there are many things that to decide how many hours the player will practice. They decide quantity of practice, quality of practice, etc. And together with this physical, technical, tactical practice, it's necessary to train themselves mentally, emotionally, consciously, conscientially. And this training can be practiced as a separate session practice, or it is also practiced during the technical training or tactical training. For example, concentration. Concentration is not something to train and intend only through playing. When we play tennis, when we play matches or we practice. It's something we must train all the day. Whatever we do, we must intend to do it with total concentration. And then we must find ways to liberate our mind from whatever creates problems to our concentration and whatever creates mental emotional agitation and distraction. So first objective is to develop the habit to do with concentration everything we do throughout all day. This must become a habit. When we eat something, when we take a walk, when we take our bath, when we listen to the music, when we watch matches, when we read a book, when we dance, when we sing, whatever we do, we must develop the habit to do it with full concentration. When we speak, when we listen, to listen consciously and with concentration is one of the most important skills that help us to develop awareness and harmonious relationships. It's one of the more attention, listening attentively is one of the most important social skills. In terms of, in order to learn, to understand, it is very important to listen carefully. Without distractions and agitations. Remain calm. So we must develop a variety of habits to remain self-aware, to concentrate, to do everything with concentration, to remain aware of the inner silence. This is self-awareness. To remain aware, to maintain throughout all day awareness of our mental emotional reactions. We must develop the habit to avoid identification with this reaction. This is a habit, using a method like those I mentioned before, to connect with breathing process, to connect with the physical body, to make a question, inquiry question, like, to whom this thought arises? To me, who am I? And this helps us to connect with the inner silence. And when we connect with the inner silence, we more easily we can distance ourselves from the mental emotional patterns, expressions, tendencies, whatever it may be, habits. And all of them, of course, they are habits. And many of them are destructive or function against our goals, objectives, and most of all against our happiness. Because at the end of the day, what we seek through any activity is happiness, fulfillment. And okay, we can say that professional tennis want fame, money, self-approvements, that they are special, important, that they are worthy to be loved, accepted, approved, recognized. All these are patterns, programming of the subconscious mind. So we may do things for various reasons or objectives, goals. But the highest one, I could say, that is fulfillment and happiness. But I mean the happiness that is beyond this fleeting happiness, a deep happiness, a profound happiness that it is not affected of the happenings of the life or whatever. A deep, profound, unlimited happiness. This is what it is called in spiritual language bliss. And this state of bliss, Ananda, is Sanskrit. In Greek, the Greek philosophers had this peculiar word, eudaimonia, and also makariotita. This is a state of deep peace, freedom, beauty, and plenitude. This is the highest form of happiness. There is also emotional happiness, which is a characteristic of the sattvic aspect of the mind. But since our mind is contaminated by rajas and tamas qualities, which are the qualities of agitation, passion, instability, extroversion, and also of lack of discernment, tamas, inertia, lack of understanding, of wrong perception, and dullness and obscurity, then we fail to maintain the sattva state of mind, which is a state of happiness, of love, of freedom, of peace, of harmony. So all divine qualities, which are the nature of our divine essence, consciousness, they can be expressed through sattva. In our mind, there is a quality, a kind of energy, we would say, that it is called sattva in Sanskrit. And this is the medium through which all divine qualities can be expressed through us. It's like we channel the electricity through a lamp, through a car. We can use electricity now to move the car, to put in motion a car, to create light. Behind all, we need a battery and electricity to use our cell phone or the computer. Behind all of them, there is electricity. But depending on the nature of the instrument that this electricity expresses itself, we have vision, sounds, light. We can create through air conditioning cool air, fresh cool air, or through heating devices. We can create heat, warm, to warm our, etc. So electricity is one and can be expressed through all devices in a different way. So consciousness is one and can be expressed in various ways through our mind. And the sattvic part or aspect of the mind can express the divine qualities. The rajasic part of the mind can create the desires, the passions, desires, it is also related with extroversion, attachment, impatience, wanting to control others, control everything, control others to satisfy our desires and our attachments. And tamas quality is the one that makes us perceive ourselves, life erroneously, in reality upside down, the black as white and the white as black. And we lack of discernment, understanding. We are more lazy. We have also self-destructive mental, emotional tendencies. So the mind can function in the highest possible level when it is free from rajas and tamas and all tendencies related to these two energies, rajas and tamas, and be totally sattvic. And this is the whole process of what we call spirituality or self-knowledge. And what prevents tennis players to play to the highest possible, to their highest possible level is these tendencies, these qualities and their tendencies, rajas and tamas. When they find themselves in the sattva state, it is that they call flow, in the zone. They play effortlessly a very high level of tennis, the highest, probably the highest possible level of tennis they can play. But since sattva, the percentage of sattva in the mind is very little, and predominant are the rajas and tamas qualities, they cannot maintain the sattva state. But because the tennis game is so, it needs a lot of concentration, attention and concentration, because if we are not in this state of full attention and concentration, the ball will pass behind us without even to see it. It's an exaggeration, but we need to be very, very concentrated, attentive. And because it is the nature of attention when the players are very, very attentive, and it happens that mentally, emotionally are not so much this day, they are not so much agitated, they can reach this sattva state and enter to this state of flow or in the zone and enjoy the game and enjoy the play, enjoy the game in general, enjoy life in all aspects, everything. And TennisSat, it is a method that focused on this, not only to help players to develop some skills or to develop some habits to play better, which is, of course, is an objective, but it's not the ultimate objective. The ultimate objective is help the players to reach this state of called in the zone of flow, and play without worries, without fear, without impatience, without irritation, without annoyances, without resentment, without. Is this possible? Yes, it is. This is my experience. Yes, it is, but it needs effort, practice, training. It's like this. Can a child of 5 years old to play like Djokovic and Federer? Yes, of course, but it needs training. And it possibly can be better than Djokovic. We can see, okay, nowadays Djokovic, according to my understanding, experience, and consciousness, is the highest player ever. Not only from results, from different points of view. It is an example for young players. But possibly there can be another new player who will play better than Djokovic, at least technically and tactically. And also, of course, mentally, emotionally, can create a better state of consciousness that Djokovic has today, nowadays. Of course, Djokovic will increase his capacities, will develop more his capacity, mental, emotional capacities, but unfortunately, he is now at the end of his career. reaches the end of his career. If he started doing psychological training earlier, he could reach a higher state than he found himself now. But life is like this. Time does not go back. We can go back to change things in the past. We can do our best here and now. And the only moment we have is here and now. So this is another habit that players must develop to live focused in the here and now. No matter what what happens externally, no matter what they do, to train their minds, attention, to stay here, to what they do at hand, and avoid distractions. And when distractions happen, to return their attention and mind to the objective, to the task at hand. This is also a habit. In Bhagavad Gita says, I will end this presentation with this. Every time Krishna, just to make an brief introduction, Krishna speaks to Arjuna and explains him how to meditate, how to maintain his mind to him, because Krishna is an incarnation of God consciousness. It is a being with physical body, but he is a realized being. It is a divine being. It is a pure expression of divine consciousness. That's why it suggests to Arjuna to concentrate his mind to him, to Krishna. And it says to Arjuna, whenever your mind is distracted from me, just return your attention and mind to me. It may happen millions of times. You have to do the same. It must become a habit. And really, this is a habit. The more we exercise this, the more effortlessly this happens. It takes more effort. In the beginning, it takes more effort, and we lose ourselves in the thought streaming or in the emotion. We identify easily with the thought streaming, the thoughts, and the emotions. And also there is a resistance to detach ourselves from them. But little by little, by practicing, due to practice, we become more and more skillful. And we need to make less and less effort. And of course, to facilitate this, we do other practices in order to eliminate from our psyche all these tendencies, habits that prevent us from doing this, to maintain our mind focused and to detach our mind from thoughts and emotions. And this is the most difficult detachment. We can more easily to detach ourselves from some external object for the sake to succeed in something, but it's quite difficult to detach ourselves from thoughts and emotions and imagination, because it is a very strong habit in us. One, it happens because of rajas and tamas qualities. Two, habit. One, rajas and tamas qualities. Two, tendencies. There are tendencies, because some tendencies, like pride, for example, or like avarice also, like desire for fame, desire for recognition, They are tendencies in us, psychological tendencies, mostly emotional tendencies, but they are associated with beliefs and mental patterns. So they also they cause they make difficult to us to detach ourselves from thoughts and emotions. Of course, because of we lack some important qualities, higher capacities of mind. So this is what I wanted to share with you. I wish you all peace, love, and light, and have a nice day.